So with Joe Manchin saying publicly that he is not in favor of the $15 minimum wage, but the need for it in the context, perhaps in reconciliation, because it offsets, it brings in tax revenue. This is going to be a big showdown. Here's Newsmax coming out with the right-wing talking points about the $15 minimum wage.
So you had also discussed, I know, in this article that you wrote about inequality measures like census reports not showing the full story. Why is that?
Well, most of these inequality measures look at your earned income. What did Newsmax pay you this month? And for low-income people, that's not the whole story because they get food stamps, the earned income tax credit, housing subsidies, benefits of this kind. And if you look at that stuff, family of four is up around $50,000 a year. That's why we see people walking around with cell phones who have low-paying jobs. Whereas when I was a kid, people in low-paying jobs had to use the phone at the drugstore, put dimes in because they couldn't afford a landline.
Yeah, so there was a study, though, I think it was back in 2017, that actually looked at this, that looked at government subsidies and how it does influence it. That's right, and it was a study done by Senator Phil Gramm, then from Texas, and they added it all up, and it came out to $50,000 a year. On that basis, we're not, people come on to air and say, I'm only earning $10 an hour at McDonald's, I'm starving to death, and they're overweight. Well, they're eating something. I don't mean to be callous about this, but I think that what we need to do is have a fair understanding of the facts. Now, we can raise the minimum wage somewhat. 30 states have done it, but hardly all of them have gone to $15 an hour.
All right, well, let's just start with the last thing. I mean, he concedes the point that we have 30 states that have raised it $15 an hour. We know that based upon productivity, it would be at $23 an hour. I am all for, once you get to a certain level, of having some states higher than other states. But $15 an hour is a minimum that people need to be taken out of poverty. And that should be the floor. It's not necessarily the ceiling, but that should be the floor. The idea that first off, in the idea that, yes, there are government programs, and it's good to see somebody on Newsmax indicate the success of anti-poverty programs in this country, that if you add it all up, take people out of poverty, but why wouldn't you want them to be able to take themselves out of poverty by providing a $15 minimum wage?
Well, I think what's concerning is it's not even just out of poverty. No single person in America can have a one-bedroom apartment anywhere in America, not just New York, LA, on $15 an hour. If you don't have housing, how are you out of poverty?
But if you're obese, how are you not full?
Well, this is the other thing is that, I mean, everybody knows that fattening junk food is cheaper than food that's not going to add calories to you. I mean, empty calories is the cheapest thing you can buy.
I mean, is he stuck in like 1950s view of McDonald's? You can be experiencing malnutrition if all you eat is that garbage. I mean, that's just a fact.
Live in a food desert.
Yeah.
I mean, they know.
Right. I mean, this is like poverty doesn't need to look like a Christmas Carol with Ebenezer Scrooge and the children there, right? Like this is a obvious straw man set up in order to make his own point and make it sound palatable. And he says, I don't mean to be callous here. And in order to shield himself from his own callousness, he creates this false notion that obviously anybody who's not gobbling up Newsmax propaganda just to fortify their own pre-existing thoughts, obviously understands that.